Before he became the king of pop, before the sold-out stadiums, the record-breaking albums, and the global fame. Michael Jackson was simply a little boy from Gary, Indiana, with an extraordinary gift and an extraordinary dream. To the world, he would become one of the greatest entertainers in history. His music would cross languages, cultures, and generations. His dance moves would inspire millions. His voice would define an era. But behind the legendary performances was a childhood unlike almost anyone else's, a childhood filled with discipline, sacrifice, and a relentless pursuit of perfection. Michael Joseph Jackson was born on August 29, 1958, in Gary, Indiana, the seventh of 10 children in the Jackson family. The Jacksons lived in a small home where money was limited, but music was everywhere. Singing wasn't just entertainment, it was part of everyday life. His father, Joseph Jackson, worked long hours in a steel mill while dreaming of success in the music industry. His mother, Katherine Jackson, encouraged her children's love of music and filled their home with faith and harmony. From an early age, it became clear that Michael was different. He had a remarkable sense of rhythm, a powerful singing voice, and an ability to perform that amazed everyone around him. Even as a young child, he displayed confidence on stage that seemed impossible for someone his age. Joseph quickly recognized his son's exceptional talent. He organized his sons into a musical group that would eventually become known as the Jackson 5. Rehearsals were long, demanding, and highly disciplined. Every dance step, every harmony, and every movement had to be perfect. The hard work paid off. Local talent shows soon turned into bigger performances, and audiences couldn't take their eyes off the young lead singer with the bright smile and incredible voice. Michael wasn't just performing songs. He was commanding stages. His natural charisma made him unforgettable. In 1968, everything changed. The Jackson 5 signed with Motown Records, one of America's most successful record labels. It was a life-changing moment not only for Michael but for the entire family. Soon after, the group released a series of unforgettable hits. Songs like I Want You Back, ABC, The Love You Save, and I'll Be There climbed to the top of the charts, turning 5 brothers from Indiana into international stars almost overnight. Michael was only a child. Yet millions already knew his name. Television appearances, concerts, interviews, and recording sessions became part of everyday life. While most children spent their afternoons playing with friends, Michael spent his traveling, rehearsing, and performing before thousands of fans. Success brought incredible opportunities, but it also came with sacrifices. As the years passed, Michael later reflected on how much of his childhood had been replaced by work. The pressure to perform at the highest level never disappeared. Still, audiences saw only the magic. Every smile on stage, every graceful movement, and every powerful note made it seem effortless. Behind the scenes, however, the young performer was growing up under extraordinary expectations. By the early 1970s, the Jackson 5 had become one of the biggest musical groups in the world. But something else was becoming increasingly clear. Michael's talent had grown beyond the group itself. Music producers, critics, and fans all recognized that he possessed a rare combination of vocal ability, stage presence, and creativity unlike anything they had seen before. The little boy from Gary was no longer just a child star. He was becoming an artist capable of changing the future of popular music. No one, not even Michael himself, could have imagined just how extraordinary that future would become. The next chapter of his life would transform him from a successful child performer into a global phenomenon whose influence would forever change the music industry. By the late 1970s, Michael Jackson had already achieved what many artists could only dream of. He was famous across the world, had countless hit songs with the Jackson 5, and had spent nearly his entire childhood in the spotlight. But Michael wanted something more. He wanted to create music that reflected his own vision. In 1979, that opportunity arrived with the release of his solo album Off the Wall, produced by legendary music producer Quincy Jones. It marked the beginning of one of the greatest collaborations in music history. The album was an enormous success. Songs like Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, Rock With You, and Off the Wall dominated radio stations around the world. Critics praised Michael's voice, energy, and creativity, while audiences embraced his unique blend of pop, funk, soul, and disco. For the first time, Michael wasn't simply a former child star. He had become one of the biggest solo artists in the world. Yet, despite the album's massive success, Michael believed he could do even better. He wasn't satisfied with being successful. He wanted to create the greatest album in history. That determination led to Thriller. Released in 1982, Thriller would forever change popular music. The album featured unforgettable songs like Billie Jean, Beat It, Thriller, Human Nature, and Wanna Be Startin' Somethin'. Each track showcased a different side of Michael's talent, blending powerful vocals, innovative production, and unforgettable melodies. But it wasn't only the music that amazed the world. Michael completely transformed the way people experienced music videos. The short film for Thriller became a global phenomenon. Instead of creating a simple promotional video, Michael produced a cinematic experience complete with storytelling, choreography, costumes, and groundbreaking visual effects. Millions watched in amazement. Soon, everyone wanted to imitate his dance moves. Then came another unforgettable moment. During a televised performance celebrating Motown's anniversary in 1983, Michael introduced a dance move that would become one of the most famous in entertainment history, the moonwalk. The audience erupted with excitement. Within hours, newspapers, television stations, and fans around the world were talking about the performance. The moonwalk became more than a dance. It became a symbol of Michael Jackson himself. As Thriller continued breaking records, Michael's fame reached levels few entertainers had ever experienced. The album eventually became the best-selling album of all time, with estimated worldwide sales exceeding 70 million copies. Awards followed one after another. In 1984, Michael won an extraordinary 8 Grammy Awards in a single night, setting a record that made history. His concerts attracted enormous crowds. Fans camped outside venues for days. Some fainted simply from seeing him step onto the stage. Everywhere he traveled, airports filled with thousands of screaming admirers hoping for a single glimpse of the world's biggest superstar. By the mid-1980s, there was little doubt. Michael Jackson had become the king of pop. Yet fame on this scale came with an enormous cost. Privacy became almost impossible. Every public appearance became international news. Photographers followed him everywhere. Rumors spread quickly, often becoming headlines before facts could catch up. Despite the constant attention, Michael remained deeply committed to his craft. He spent countless hours in recording studios, refining every lyric, every melody, and every beat. He believed perfection wasn't a destination, it was a never-ending pursuit. In 1985, he also co-wrote We Are the World with Lionel Richie. The charity single brought together many of the world's biggest artists to raise money for famine relief in Africa. The song became one of the most successful charity records ever released and showed another side of Michael, an artist who wanted to use his influence to help others. Throughout the decade, his career continued to soar. Albums like Bad introduced another generation of iconic songs, including Bad, The Way You Make Me Feel, Man in the Mirror, and Smooth Criminal. His live performances became legendary. Every concert featured spectacular choreography, groundbreaking stage production, and unforgettable moments that audiences would remember for decades. To millions of fans, Michael Jackson wasn't just a singer. He was a once-in-a-generation performer whose influence reached every corner of the globe. But behind the dazzling lights, sold-out stadiums, and endless applause, the pressures of living under constant public attention were quietly growing. The next chapter of Michael Jackson's life would reveal a different side of fame, one filled with intense media scrutiny, personal struggles, and challenges that would test even the world's biggest superstar. By the late 1980s, Michael Jackson had accomplished what few artists in history ever could. He wasn't simply famous, he had become a global cultural phenomenon. Wherever he traveled, thousands gathered outside airports, hotels, and concert venues. Television stations interrupted regular programming to cover his appearances. Newspapers followed every move he made. To millions, he seemed larger than life. But behind the record-breaking success, Michael was living under a level of public attention that almost no entertainer had ever experienced. Every decision became a headline. Every photograph was analyzed. Every rumor spread across the world within hours. As the pressure grew, Michael searched for places where he could escape the constant spotlight. One of those places became Neverland Ranch, a large California property he transformed into a private retreat with gardens, amusement rides, a small zoo, and spaces where children facing serious illnesses could visit through charitable events. Michael often spoke about feeling that much of his own childhood had been lost because of years spent rehearsing, recording, and performing. Neverland reflected his desire to create a place filled with imagination, joy, and kindness. Away from the stage, he also became one of the world's most generous entertainers. He supported numerous charities, visited hospitals, donated millions of dollars to humanitarian causes, and used his fame to bring attention to issues affecting children around the world. His songs, Heal the World and Birth Song, reflected themes of compassion, peace, and hope. Fans admired not only his music but also his efforts to help others. Yet at the same time, intense media scrutiny continued to grow. Stories about his appearance, lifestyle, and personal life often dominated headlines. Some reports were based on facts, while many others relied on speculation and sensationalism. Michael rarely found peace from public attention. Even during moments of success, cameras were never far away. In the early 1990s, he released the album Dangerous, featuring memorable hits such as Black or White, Remember the Time, and Heal the World. Once again, audiences around the globe embraced his music. His concerts filled massive stadiums across multiple continents. Millions continued to see him as the greatest performer of his generation. But alongside his musical achievements came periods of enormous personal difficulty. During the 1990s and early 2000s, Michael faced serious allegations that attracted worldwide media coverage. He consistently denied wrongdoing, and some legal matters were settled outside of court without admissions of guilt. In 2005, after a widely publicized criminal trial, he was acquitted on all criminal charges. Regardless of differing public opinions, the attention surrounding these events had a profound effect on both his personal life and public image. For Michael, the constant pressure never truly disappeared. He also dealt with significant physical challenges. Years of demanding performances had placed tremendous strain on his body. Injuries from concerts and rehearsals, including burns suffered during the filming of a commercial in the 1980s, contributed to ongoing health problems throughout his life. Despite these difficulties, Michael never stopped thinking about music. He continued writing, recording, and imagining new performances that would surprise audiences once again. Those closest to him often described an artist who remained deeply passionate about creativity. Even after decades of success, he still searched for new ways to entertain the world. To his fans, Michael Jackson remained much more than a singer. He represented innovation. He represented imagination. He represented the belief that music could unite people from every country and every culture. Yet behind the world's admiration stood a man carrying extraordinary expectations. The applause never truly ended. Neither did the pressure. As a new decade approached, Michael believed he had one more opportunity to remind the world why he had earned the title King of Pop. He began preparing for what was announced as his final concert series, This Is It. Fans across the globe celebrated the news. Many believed they were about to witness one last unforgettable chapter in music history. But no one realized that the greatest comeback of Michael Jackson's career would soon become one of the most heartbreaking moments in entertainment history. In early 2009, after years away from the spotlight, Michael Jackson made an announcement that shocked the world. Standing before thousands of cheering fans in London, he smiled and said only a few words. These will be my final show performances. This is it. Those 4 words instantly became global headlines. For millions of fans, it was the comeback they had been waiting for. The concert series, titled This Is It, was initially planned as just a handful of performances at London's O2 Arena. But the demand was unlike anything the music industry had ever seen. Tickets sold out almost immediately. Because of overwhelming demand, the schedule expanded to 50 concerts. Fans traveled from every corner of the world. Hotels filled with visitors. Airlines added flights. London was preparing for one of the biggest entertainment events in history. Behind the scenes, Michael threw himself into rehearsals. Despite being 50 years old, he insisted on practicing every dance move, every vocal cue, and every stage transition. Perfection had always been his standard. That had never changed. Crew members later described seeing flashes of the performer who had once amazed stadiums around the globe. When the music started, Michael still possessed the charisma that had made him legendary. His movements remained graceful. His voice still carried emotion. Everyone involved believed audiences were about to witness an unforgettable farewell. The production itself was extraordinary. Massive video screens. Advanced visual effects. Spectacular lighting. New choreography. Classic songs reimagined for a modern audience. Every detail reflected Michael's lifelong commitment to creating experiences rather than ordinary concerts. The rehearsals were also filmed. No one realized those recordings would later become far more important than anyone imagined. As opening night approached, excitement reached incredible levels. News outlets around the world covered every update. Fans counted down the days. Many believed this would mark one of the greatest comebacks in music history. Then, everything changed. On June 25, 2009, the world woke to devastating news. Michael Jackson had died at the age of 50 in Los Angeles. The announcement spread across television, radio, and the internet within minutes. Millions refused to believe it. News websites crashed because of overwhelming traffic. Television networks interrupted regular programming. Radio stations immediately began playing his songs. Crowds gathered outside hospitals, recording studios, and famous landmarks across the world. From New York to Tokyo. From London to Rio. People stood together in silence. Many cried openly. Flowers, candles, handwritten letters, and photographs quickly covered memorial sites. The world wasn't simply mourning a singer. It was saying goodbye to one of the most influential entertainers in history. In the weeks that followed, investigators determined that Michael Jackson had died from acute propofol and benzodiazepine intoxication, administered while he was under medical care. His personal physician was later convicted of involuntary manslaughter for his role in the events leading to Michael's death. The tragedy sparked worldwide discussions about celebrity, pressure, and the responsibilities surrounding medical treatment. Meanwhile, the concert that millions had waited to see would never happen. Instead, rehearsal footage was carefully edited into the documentary film Michael Jackson's This Is It. Released later that year, the film gave fans a rare glimpse into Michael's final weeks. Rather than showing a fading star, it revealed an artist still deeply involved in every creative decision. He corrected lighting. He refined choreography. He discussed camera angles. He encouraged musicians. Even during rehearsals, his passion for music remained unmistakable. Many fans left theaters with the same thought. Michael Jackson never stopped being an artist. Even in his final days. But although his life had ended, his story was far from over. Because the impact Michael Jackson left on music, dance, fashion, and popular culture would continue long after the final rehearsal ended. His legacy was only beginning. In the final chapter, we'll explore how one performer changed entertainment forever, and why, decades later, the king of pop continues to inspire millions around the world. When Michael Jackson passed away on June 25, 2009, the world stood still. Within minutes, television stations across the globe interrupted their regular programming. Radio stations began playing his greatest hits. Fans gathered outside his home, music studios, and famous landmarks, holding candles, flowers, and handwritten letters. For many people, it didn't feel like the loss of a celebrity. It felt like saying goodbye to someone who had been part of their lives for decades. Just days later, millions watched his public memorial service. Family members, friends, fellow artists, and fans came together to celebrate a man whose music had connected people across every continent. The emotional ceremony reminded the world that Michael Jackson's influence went far beyond record sales or awards. He had become a global symbol of music itself. Throughout his career, Michael sold hundreds of millions of records worldwide, making him one of the best-selling music artists in history. His album Thriller remains the best-selling album of all time. But numbers alone cannot explain his impact. He changed the way music videos were made. Before Michael, music videos were often simple promotional clips. After Thriller, they became cinematic events. Artists around the world began investing in storytelling, choreography, and visual creativity because Michael had shown what was possible. His influence reached far beyond music. The moonwalk became one of the most recognizable dance moves in history. His signature style, the black fedora, sparkling glove, military-inspired jackets, and black loafers, became instantly recognizable around the world. Even today, performers continue to pay tribute to his style, stage presence, and innovation. His humanitarian work also remains an important part of his legacy. Throughout his life, Michael supported hospitals, children's charities, disaster relief efforts, and humanitarian organizations. He donated millions of dollars and used his fame to bring attention to causes he believed in. Songs like Heal the World, Man in the Mirror, Earth Song, and We Are the World continue to inspire messages of compassion, hope, and responsibility. Of course, Michael's life also included controversies and intense public debate. His story remains one of the most discussed in entertainment history. Some parts of his life continue to generate differing opinions and ongoing discussion. But regardless of those debates, one fact remains undeniable. His impact on music, dance, and popular culture changed the world forever. Artists from every generation have acknowledged his influence. His work inspired singers, dancers, producers, choreographers, and filmmakers across the globe. Even years after his passing, his songs continue to reach new audiences. Children who were born long after his greatest performances still learn the moonwalk. New musicians still study his recordings. His concerts are still remembered as some of the greatest live performances ever staged. That is the mark of a true legend. Michael Jackson's journey was filled with extraordinary success, immense pressure, remarkable creativity, and deeply human struggles. He experienced worldwide fame unlike almost anyone before him. He lived under constant public attention. Yet through every triumph and every challenge, one thing remained constant. His love for music. He once said that music was his life. For millions of fans, it still is. Every time Billie Jean begins to play. Every time someone attempts the moonwalk. Every time Man in the Mirror reminds people to change the world by changing themselves. Michael Jackson's legacy lives on. The little boy from Gary, Indiana, who once dreamed of singing on a stage, became the king of pop, a title earned through extraordinary talent, relentless dedication, and a career that transformed modern entertainment. Legends may leave the stage, but their influence never truly disappears. Michael Jackson's voice, his music, and his unforgettable performances continue to echo across generations. And perhaps that is why, even today, the world still remembers him not only as one of the greatest entertainers of all time, but as an artist who changed music forever. The end.